an update on this corn and soybean field. This is a Roundup ready corn and bean field that was struggling about 3 weeks ago, and we came in and drone sprayed. If you didn't see that, I'll link the video down below, but we went through this with a drone and applied some fertilizer, gave it a good shot of nitrogen, both foliar as well as spread fertilizer on the ground, granular, and then we sprayed glyphosate, and this has really perked up nice. It's beautiful. We've got a good stand of corn and beans, and the glyphosate pretty much killed all the foxtail that was trying to grow in here. There was quite a bit of weed pressure, and it's just completely gone. I'm going to turn this around so you can see. Okay, so this corn is now, I would say, 7-8 feet tall. It's getting ears on it. We had a electric fence around it all summer, and I'm here to maintain the fence today, and I see that it's down. It's something busted through it and broke that critical outside layer, which is the low electric wire that will be the first thing that the deer come in contact with and get shocked. So that's down, and they'll walk right underneath right here. And they've been chewing on this soybean a little bit. There's some browse pressure on this one, but it's far enough ahead now that it can keep up with a little bit of deer pressure. There's a horseweed there, but mostly you see all this dead stuff in here. It worked out perfectly, and I don't say that very often with food plots. That cotton picking horseweed, man, that's tough stuff. But I've got some beautiful soybean plants in here. They're growing really well in with a low population of corn. You can see that the corn is probably about 1/3 what you'd usually put in. I could probably do with a little bit more of the maybe a little bit more soybean in places. Back there it's a little sparse. You can see a lot of bare ground, but up here we have full canopy and good corn, and we're making cobs. We've got some silk coming. This is what the deer often will come through a stand of corn and eat this off, and then you won't get any corn kernels. It's a lot worse when you plant your corn in rows. This was planted with a seed drill, so it's more random. It's not in a row, so a deer isn't going to walk right down the row and eat your silk off, because they'll get every single one that way. So I would say this is a win for a change. Kind of an expensive food plot. You know, by the time you buy the seeds are nothing really. $150 in the seed. But what's expensive about a plot like this is that you're going to have to spray it. So somebody has to come and spray this. That's not very expensive either, but in this case we put it on with a drone, and it cost me a little bit to do the drone spraying. So in hindsight, you're better off probably putting lots of fertilizer on before you plant. I was going to see what I could get away with by just having cover crops in here last year, which I would say that definitely helped a lot in this stand. And I'm not crazy about using GMO plants, but in a case where you have heavy weed pressure, you just can't get around it. There's nothing you can do. So that's it for the corn and soybean video. Man, look at that. Pretty nice. So next year I'm going to expand on this. I have 1 acre planted. Next year we'll definitely do this again, and we'll get 2 acres in at least. And then the loggers that you can hear next door, they told me they saw a nice big buck coming into the, try to get at these soybeans right over there. So that's good news. And hopefully we'll be able to feed and house a couple of deer in here, maybe a nice buck or two. Okay, so I went through here and with my weed whacker and got most of the green off of this outer strand. The inner strands I'm not going to bother with because there's so much corn touching them. I don't want to take out all those corn plants. So I'm only going to energize the outer strand, and I can't really see if I think the battery got drained by the fact that it was laying on the ground, but it'll build back up and start energizing. So let's go on out to the new food plot and see what's going on out there. A lot of times when you look at a field and you think, man, that clover's just not growing very well, you put a cage on it and look at the difference inside. Now there's a lot of weeds there, but the red clover looks pretty good. It's twice as tall as what's outside, so I'd say there's a couple of deer feeding in here, and we'll have to clean this up with some spraying, and I'm going to till this area and put in some Roundup Ready alfalfa. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe and you see how that goes. I'm going to try that for the first time because this is a very well drained, dry site, very sunny. I think alfalfa is the way to go here because it just gets too dry in the summer usually. So check that out, and then I can spray it. We have a lot of weed pressure, so that way I can spray it with Roundup next year and clean it up. Okay, the new food plot. This area was a log landing, and the fruit trees look pretty good. That's the area, that whole half there was woods before. Look at the difference between kind of used up, compacted soil to the stuff that is fresh. There's still some organic matter in there. Now, I see some clover in here, but not much. The deer ate all of the buckwheat, it looks like. Some of it's going to flower, but it's no longer an attractant. The trees are doing well, but unfortunately so is the stilt grass. That's all stilt grass right there all along the edge. So I think when I come back for my next visit, I'm going to make sure I have glyphosate, and I'll go over that and spray it. Now, we have a decision to make because the millet is doing all right because it can handle some dry site conditions. But you can see how that looks pale over there. And it's deep green and a lot bigger over here. So I think what I will do is till this up, take a soil test, get the fertilizer on there that we need, and I don't think that's going to amount to much anyway. We'll kill the stilt grass so it doesn't come back, and plant something else there for the winter. Probably oats, awnless wheat, and maybe some brassica. See, I'd love to spray this, but if we spray for the stilt grass, they're going to kill the millet. So I got to think that over. The nice thing about the millet here, where it happens to be growing well, it'll also act as a screening that will cut this food plot kind of in half, which is always good to do. See how the deer focused on the buckwheat. I know I've said in the past that deer don't eat buckwheat around here, but I don't know. Don't ask me. It's kind of like a buffet, you know. Some people eat the Kung Pao chicken and some people eat the General Tso chicken. I don't know. So, my first instinct is to, because stilt grass is such a scourge, probably ought to just spray everything, till it under. It's not worth it to let this stilt grass go to seed. It's already making flowers. We have a nice water hole down there. Probably put a tub in there. See, we're gonna get some millet here. But I think I'd rather have some greens that'll last all winter instead of that. And we're just gonna have to spray. That's all there is to it. So this, I would say, is a failure, pretty much. Except for my trees. These trees are looking really good. We had very fortunate with the rain. Korean giant pear. That pear looks better than any of the pears I have anywhere else. So if we plant more pears, we'll probably use that variety. Alright, well, that's about it for this food plot. Now we're going to go up here. I can see brown right now, which I really like. We sprayed that with the drone a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go check that out. Well, I'd say we got a really good burn down on this small food plot. What I need here is to come in with some compost, which I can't afford right now, and a rock crusher to get rid of these rocks. And we picked a lot of rocks out of here years ago, but I'm too old for that crap now, so I'd like to just come in here with a rock crusher and get everything squashed. Might be smart to turn this into just an orchard. Put some chestnuts in there. The chestnut over here. Let's check it out. Bear sign. See how many ticks we can pick up in this spice fern. Okay, chestnut, year number 3, I think, on these. Coming up out of the tube. And so now it's time to put an extension on that tube. Sometimes you can just move them up. Not in this case, but chestnuts like this kind of dry, acid site. So, in the drone video that I mentioned before, you can see how we came in and sprayed this. You can see how, boy, the stilt grass just croaked. Look at that. I'm loving it. See how blackberry is poking up through there? Could use more. Could use a lot more over that way. That looks like it never got hit. But right now, we can walk through this and spot treat it very quickly with backpacks. Get the areas that we couldn't get with the drone. And just do a little follow-up action on it, and we'll have rid of this fern, which would be beautiful. Sweet fern got burned a little bit. I'm not that worried about it. It's these hay-scented ferns that prevent anything from growing. Between the hay-scented and stilt grass, nothing grows. You're not going to get trees. And if I get the rock crusher up here, I could go through this area with a couple of strips maybe. Can't afford to do the whole thing, but if I had the money, I'd just crush this whole area. And then you can plant whatever you want. I could put switchgrass, forage, whatever. Yeah, some areas are good. And it kind of looks like areas that he was trying to avoid the trees just didn't get hit. You might want to take just a little bit more time to see what happens. Because a lot of it, even though it's not totally burned down, it looks pretty sick. So some follow-up here at the end of the growing season would be smart, just so it doesn't take off again. But man, that's a lot better than it was. You can see that the ferns are up to my, let me show you. Ferns are up to my waist. You know, they're 3.5 feet tall. And you know, there's just no sunlight reaching the forest floor here. And of course, the rhizomes that are down underneath there, they pretty much are going to use all the resources, all the water and minerals that are down there. Oh man. Mile a minute weed. If you see this vine growing, they've got little spikes on them and a delta shaped leaf. Now that got burned pretty bad. Hopefully it'll die. We put in CSP through NRCS to spray ferns and mile a minute. The mile a minute's coming in from next door, and what happens is birds carry the seeds everywhere and it just spreads like wildfire. And those folks next door are not land managers, and they are not open to suggestions on how to fix anything. So maybe if I run into them this fall when they're in their cabin, I can talk to them about possibly also applying for CSP to get some spraying done. That's where it's coming from. Anyway, I guess that's about it for this week's update. Time to call the landowner, give him an update, and see if he wants to come up and do some work in the near future. We're going to need 2 trips probably to get everything fixed up and ready for hunting season. Alright, if you want to fix up your property for good deer hunting and good forest growth, give me a call. Doesn't cost anything to talk on the phone, or send me an email. The information's down below. The blackberry got all chewed on. And get in touch with me. I'm glad to help you out. Alright, talk to you later.